Hey guys, how's it going? As you probably know, today was Minecraft Live, and the major update announced today was the Cave and Cliff update. They said that the update should come out around summer 2021. So the first biome is the Lush Cave, and as you can see here, there is a new tree type, the azalea tree, and if you look closely, you can see the leaves are actually different than any other leaf texture, so there might potentially be a new sapling as well for it. If you look at the dirt right below the tree, the log and around it, you can kind of notice that it looks a little different than normal dirt. And this is the azalea tree's roots, and if you mine down near an azalea tree, you'll find a lush cave. Alright, wow, there's a lot to talk about here. So you can tell there's new hanging vines, and there is a new berry type, as you can see there, the orange berries. They're called glowing berries, I think, and they will grow on those vines, and they glow, so they add a new light source for these biomes, for the lush cave, and you can pick them and eat them as well. And if you look near the vine in the front left, you can see a kind of strange shrub almost. I think there's a variant of them that has flowers on it, and I believe these are like azalea, maybe saplings or bushes or something. If you look down in the water, you can see something that looks kind of like a lily pad, and these are the Dripleaf Plant. In this shot here, you can see the azalea shrub with flowers on it, and you can see the grass. It's like an all-sided grass block, which is really interesting. If you look closely down at the bottom, there's a new like grass carpet piece. It looks like it's the same size as like a carpet, but then it's like grass texture. So that's pretty interesting. If you look at the ceiling here, you'll see a big pink flower. This is called a spore blossom, and they give off a particle effect that I guess surrounds kind of the area, like the whole cave. They said it is similar to how some of the new biomes in the nether work, how there's particles everywhere. And you can look carefully, and there's some sort of like lily pad looking thing. And I think those might be some version of the drip leaf. The Dripleaf Plant. This is a really interesting plant. It's in the Lush Caves. In this clip, it looks like they can grow tall, but that might just be like sugarcane, how you can grow it higher than 4 blocks, which is its natural height. After you stand on it for about half a second, it tilts, and then after another second, you fall through. So this could be really interesting for parkour and stuff. As you can see here, there are several axolotls, and there are some pink ones, and then it looks like there's a little like brownish one. I'm not sure what the difference is exactly. As you can see here, the player has collected several axolotls. When you put them in a bucket, they are kind of like tamed, and they'll follow you around and attack enemies like drowned or guardians. And they have this ability where if they're attacked, they'll turn over, play dead, and then they'll regenerate, and then they'll come back and fight. And one of the devs mentioned that if you become good enough friends with them, whatever that means, that they'll even heal you as well. The Dripstone Caves are pretty interesting with their stalactites and stalagmites hanging all over the place. If you place a cauldron under a stalactite, the dripping water will eventually fill the cauldron up with water. If you break a stalactite, it will fall down and crash into the ground, and if an entity falls on a stalagmite, they will take damage and probably die. These could be fairly handy in a mob grinder. There is a new block found in the deep dark called the Skulk Sensor, and it'll sense any vibrations, so someone walking, placing blocks, breaking blocks, any of that, and it'll detect that and it can output like a redstone signal. This next clip has a more in-depth analysis of how the Skulk Sensor works with the Minecraft developer, Brandon Pierce.
And as you can see here, I walked next to the Skulk Sensor, and it's actually kind of doing an infinite loop where the piston is causing a vibration, and then it's activating the Skulk Sensor and going over and over again. But here, I've actually put a wall block in between the piston, which prevents the signal from going to the Skulk Sensor.
We get wireless redstone thanks to the Skulk Sensor.
Yes.
So, and we didn't even plan to add it, but then when we started playtesting, we're like, wait, we got wireless redstone, and that's so exciting.
So evidently, this is another new biome, the deep dark. Every time they mentioned it, they said it was super far deep down, like at the bottom of the world. And you can see that there's a new type of stone. It's kind of blue, kind of bricky looking almost. It's really interesting. As you can see here, it looks like almost the end is popping up, or maybe the void is coming through the deep dark in these small patches. And this is where Skulk Sensors spawn, it looks like. It looks like that all your light sources will dim in the deep dark occasionally, or this may be only when the Warden is nearby. It looks like we're getting a new light source. These look like gray candles here. And here are some white candles. They didn't say if there will be these small, like, mining outpost structure that spawns. It looks like there's some candles in here. The developers said that the Warden is blind and it completely relies on hearing vibrations, walking, stepping, throwing snowballs, stuff like that. This is a really interesting mob. It seems like it's kind of in that tier of mini-boss, kind of like the Guardian or Evokers. It's super strong. With full netherite armor, it too hits the developer in this clip. Here are the developers Brendan Pierce and Lady Agnes talking about the improved cave generation. Also, just a side note, the glowing ore is not a new ore. They just made all the ore glow so that you can see in caves easier. just for the preview purposes. It's not going to stay in the game that way.
Yeah, so as you can see here, I mean, this is drastically different to what caves used to look like. And there's definitely still the old style of caves, but we wanted to make sure that there was much more variety in the sort of caves and the shapes and the sizes you could get. And even here, you can see that there's some water underground.
Yes, so we actually added something we call local water levels. So in one cave might find like a cave lake, and another cave might not have that one. And this also means that we get naturally generated waterfalls, which is so pretty. And it also kind of gives like new ways to traverse the underground. You can actually go cave rafting.
Yeah, so you'll see in a bit that our player here will actually use a boat to raft. And that is just such an exciting opportunity to be able to traverse the caves in a very different way than you used to.
Yeah, we were playtesting, and then one of the devs like, look at this, it's so fun, and all of us just started to go with the boat on the waterfalls. It was a lot of fun.
Another feature coming in the update is amethyst geodes. They didn't say if there'd be other types of geodes, so like other crystal variants, or if it's just amethyst. One of the developers hinted at being able to farm the crystals that grow there, and when you break the crystals, you get crystal shards, but you can only break the plant-like shaped crystals. You can only break those. You can break the actual crystal outer shell blocks, but those won't drop anything. One of the developers compared them to dungeon spawners, how when you break one, you don't get anything, you don't get an item, but if you leave it there, it'll continue to produce. There is a new ore now, copper ore. It will spawn in actual veins. Current ore spawns in kind of like clumps, but copper ore will actually spawn in veins, and it'll kind of lead you through a trail instead. So copper can be turned into copper blocks, and you can use that for decoration. That will actually age over time, and you can also use copper to craft several new items. Here is Vu Bui talking about the cliff part of the Caves and Cliffs update. This is the mountain biome update that we voted for at last year's Minecraft Live.
Goats. They're both mischievous and adorable at the same time. As you can see, they live on the mountains, and if you aren't careful, they might knock you off. They also have excellent jumping skills. We'll also get better mountain generation with spectacular and more dramatic mountains with height-dependent generation. That means things like tree lines and mountaintops that will be more challenging with lots of snow and ice. And speaking of snow, yes, it will be snowier. We will also have a new block called powder snow, which will be a kind of trap block. It looks similar to snow, but if you or a mob walk on it, you will fall right through.
The telescope is crafted using crystal shards and copper. This seems like a pretty useful tool. You can use it to zoom in and look around at stuff. Similar to Optifine Zoom, it seems, but as a vanilla feature. The lightning rod is crafted using copper, and if you place it up on top of your roof, lightning strikes will be drawn to it instead of your roof. So if your roof is made out of either wool or wood or some other flammable block, if it gets struck by lightning, then it won't catch on fire because it would have hit the lightning rod instead. For the bundles, they can hold 64 of any item, but they can only hold 64 total. They can hold however many that is, so they can hold 64 of one item each, or they can hold 64 of one item. So for example, pretend this chest is a satchel. You can put one stack of cobblestone in, because that is 64 items. Or you could put a half stack of cobblestone and a half stack of dirt, because in total that is 64 items. Or you can put all these flowers in, some seeds, and some other stuff, and as long as all the items in here don't total up to more than 64, then you can put them all in the bundle. And lastly, we have Archaeology. This is really unexpected, to me at least, in my opinion, but it looks like it could be pretty interesting. Here is Near Vecnin and Lady Agnes on Archaeology.
You're basically going to find these excavation sites all throughout your world. And you can make this new tool called the brush that is going to help you uncover the mysteries of all these dig sites. So you come to one of these ancient structures and you can sort of use the brush to clear away some of the rubble that may have collapsed in those structures. And sometimes you might even find something shiny inside them. But, and this is important, if you are not careful enough, like in real life, you can destroy that artifact. And when that artifact is gone, that artifact and all the secrets it held are gone forever. But if you're careful enough, if you take your time and you're deliberate, you can get some of those hidden artifacts. And for example, here we got a ceramic shard, which is basically how whoever lived here used to tell and pass on their stories.
I love the story sides of the archaeology, because we often talk about that we want to deepen the mystery in Minecraft. And when you find these hidden artifacts, you kind of find like connections and hints. And we will never tell the full story, but these will inspire the players to tell their own stories about their own Minecraft worlds.
Exactly. I think it's going to be really exciting to see what players do with them. For example, here we see an exhibition that someone built for this, where he can compare all the different clues he finds, right, and try to preserve whatever was down here, and he can compare what we found with whatever new thing, and sort of try to connect the pieces, right? And here we see those pieces connected in a clay pot, actually trying to reconstruct them back. And you can create that however you like. You can create your own stories or try to guess how those pieces used to connect.
Yeah. It's also so fun to be very creative with these new pots, because you can put the shards in any way you want.
Exactly, and when you're pleased with your creation, you can fire them up and you have your own painted clay pot.
Alright, that's all the news from Minecraft Live on the Cave and Cliff update. I really appreciate you watching to the end. Thanks for watching the video. Recording and editing this video took a lot of work. So, maybe like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll see you next time.